Hey everyone, CPO here, and in this video I'm going to be installing a new dash camera in my wife's minivan. I'm taking out the old one that we've had in there for several years, and we're adding in this VIOFO A119 Mini 2. We also have some accessories here. I'm going to do a hardwire kit, which is new for her van. Her other dash cam does not have parking mode and does not have a hardwire kit, so I'm going to do that for her. I'm going to give her a wireless Bluetooth button so she can lock any interesting footage. And this actually has a circular polarizing filter, which is going to be great to cut down on glare. And then I got her a brand new SD card. So all of this is going in, but first let me show you what's in the box for these things. This is the VIOFO itself. The A119 Mini 2 is a very nice size, and it does have an integrated display, adjustable camera, built-in GPS module. It comes with some extra VHB tape in case you need to ever do a reinstall. It has a long cable with a cigarette lighter adapter if you just want to plug it in that way. It uses a standard USB-C cable, just really long, and it also comes with a normal size USB-C cable, so you can connect it to your computer to pull video footage off if you choose to do it that way. They do give you this nice trim tool, which I think is always helpful, and of course a manual, and then these things I really think are awesome, and I'm not going to use them in this install, but these are great if you want to do a temporary install, or you think you might move it, or you're not sure where you want to put it, or you just don't want to stick it directly to your windshield. You can put that cling film down first and then install to that, which is super cool. And then this is the little Bluetooth remote control. It comes with an extra battery and extra 3M tape. I'm just going to stick it to the dash. It's already got a battery in there though, so that's kind of nice. This circular polarizing filter is basically just going to clip onto the front of the lens, and quite frankly all dash cameras should have one of these, but not all do. So it's nice that there is available for this. And then the hardwire kit is going to replace that long USB-C cable that would normally go in with a cable, also USB-C on one end, but the other end is going to connect into her fuse box. And then it has some adjustable settings for how far you're willing to allow the battery to drain. But before we install that, I've got to remove this other camera. Like I said, it has been here for years, probably 5-6 years. It hasn't been a bad camera. It's just way out of date. And the Sarvis 2 sensor is so much better with nighttime footage, so it's really worth the upgrade. So I've got to remove all of this old residue, and by the way, there's some old like Velcro on here from toll passes. And so the goal here is just to get everything nice and clean. By the way, the entire windshield was pretty ridiculous. I don't even know if the inside of her windshield has ever been clean. So this was a good time to do a good husband thing and just clean out the entire windshield. And man, this was pretty hazy, so I'm sure it's going to be a lot better for her driving around with a clean windshield. Now on this minivan, it's a 2013 Toyota Sienna. There is this little channel that runs up from the rearview mirror, which is super nice for cabling. So that's where I have the current cable run, and I'm just going to pull that off and then pull this cable out. This isn't an uninstall video, so I'm showing you a little bit of uninstall footage just because this is my process, but I'm going to spend a little bit more time giving you details on how to install the new camera. So you see how it all comes apart. I'll show you how it all goes in. It's actually quite simple, and you know, just pay attention to a couple of key details. All right, so the VIOFO can have a plug in the top, and it can go either directional thanks to USB-C. And then this plugs, I have it plugged directly into the GPS module. You can also plug it into the side of the camera, but you can see the camera clicks onto the GPS module, which is nice if you want to remove the camera and leave everything, you know, still plugged in, not have to worry about messing with the plug. So the next thing I want to do is figure out where I want to actually put the camera. I used to always think that being in the center was the only right way, but in reality, a couple of inches off center doesn't really make that much of a difference in the overall view. And then so what I'm looking at is what I want my wife to be able to see of the camera. This does have a display. It's got some buttons on it. She can, for example, use the button to lock footage. I think I want to give her just a little bit of a view that is not fully hidden by the rear view mirror. And so I think I'm going to do right here. So what I'm doing is using a piece of masking tape and a Sharpie just to mark the spot where I want to install it. That way I can move that rear view mirror out of the way and I know exactly where I want to put it. So first I clean the window with an alcohol. I'm just using alcohol and a paper towel, but if you have alcohol wipes or something like that, that would be super helpful. And then just sticking the base to the window. And yeah, and then I can put the camera back on. Everything looks good to go. She can reach these buttons, can see the screen, so I like it. All right, now, like I said, I want to keep the USB plugged into the base. That way, if she ever wants to take off the camera, maybe for security or privacy reasons, she can take it with her or take it out of the car. I want to give her that option, so that's why it's plugged in the top there. And then I'm just going to run this along the headliner. It's really easy to shove that up into the headliner. But before I get too carried away, I do want to install the memory card. And so that's going to go in, and then I'm going to remove the sticker on the camera lens and put on the circular polarizing filter. Yep, that's nice there. And you can see how much adjustment you have. I'm going to plug this in using the cable that comes with the camera, just so I can make sure everything's working right, and then just give you a sense for if you're not doing a hardwire install, this is really it. This is the install, right? When you turn on the vehicle, the cigarette lighter adapter is going to get power, and then it will turn on the camera. What you lose in this, though, is parking mode. The reason why you want to have a hardwire kit is for parking mode and also to free up your accessory power in case you need it for anything else. But yeah, that's pretty much how things are. You can see how it's just slightly hidden. And this is the view from the driver's seat. She's got enough visibility to see that everything is working and she can press buttons, but it's not completely in the way. All right, so the hardwire kit, again, we're going to push this through some spots. That's the thing we have to worry about. It's kind of big. We're going to have to push up through from the bottom up to the top, though, because on the other side of this, where it connects to the fuse box, you've got that big box where you establish your voltage. So what I'm doing is pulling down the A pillar just a little bit. There's an airbag behind there, and because of that, the pillar is tethered to the car. So when the airbag goes off, if the airbag were to ever go off, the pillar won't be flying around as well. And then I'm removing the trim there at the footwell. That's pretty easy. There's a little plastic nut and some clips that hold it in. It comes off pretty easy. And then I'm using the pry tool to pull off this side, mostly so I can see what's going on in there and where I want to route this. So then I pull down the trim for the door seal, and that will allow me the ability to get this wire ran. And I'm using one of these little grabber tools. I use this all the time for wiring installs. It's super handy to pull things through tight spots. And yeah, I love it. And I somehow ended up with a knot in the cable. So let me get that out of there. Alrighty. There we go. I just need enough slack to get it over to the camera. And you can see it pushes up. Now here's one very important thing is you need to put this behind the airbag. You need to make sure you do not put a wire in front of the airbag. And I'm afraid not enough people pay attention to this fact. So run it behind the airbag. All right, so behind the airbag, we got that. Now I'm running it across and I'm going to run it down where that little channel is going to be above the rear view mirror, and then plug it into the camera. Again, just like I showed you before with the standard cable, it shoves up into the headliner pretty easily. And then now I can put this little channel cover back on, which is going to hold everything in place and also make it look nice and tidy. All right, there we go. Everything looks good. Tucked away nicely up top. All right. Now I can go ahead and push the A-pillar trim back in place. It's just going to click into place there. And then I can put the rubber trim back on. And then now I have the bottom half to deal with. So this is where it gets a little bit more interesting and a little bit more technical. But basically what I'm looking for is a place in the fuse box where I can have a always on power source, a power source that comes on with the accessory, and then I need to find a ground. Thankfully in this car, it has the fuse diagram right on top of the little cover. Now I'm not going to be able to keep this cover on once I add wire taps, so that's going to end up going in the glove box. But I can already tell you right now, I'm going to use the 15A SIG, that's a cigarette lighter adapter, for my accessory power. And then after doing a little bit of research and testing, I'm going to use the Power Window RL, PWRL, it's a 20 amp, also on the right hand side. And what I found is that is always on, and that's for the rear doors. But I'm using a multimeter for a couple things. Number one, to verify accessory power and the always on power, battery power. But I'm also looking for which side of the fuse rail is hot, because that's going to help me understand which direction I need to point these fuse inline taps. So this is the cigarette lighter adapter. This is for the accessory power. These are low profile fuses. A low profile fuse tap will allow you to reuse the same fuse. Otherwise, I'd have to get a regular mini fuse. So I'm putting 5 amps just for the camera, and I'm leaving the 15 amps there for the original cigarette lighter adapter. And then this is just a standard, not low profile version of the fuse tap, because I didn't have another one. And again, I'm using the original value fuse, the 20 amp, and then I'm adding 10 amps for the camera. And then that can plug in right there. And notice the direction I have these pointed. It's because I found the inside of that rail was the hot side. And so I want the fuse to be able to bridge the gap between the hot and the load side. And so just know that does make a difference. If you're confused, ask me in the comments or go research it. But another thing that people don't pay attention to, I found a ground spot right here in the footwell. There's actually other ground connections there. So it's a perfect purpose-made spot. Now all I'm going to do is tuck all of these wires up inside that kick panel and just hide them. And that's not too hard. It's not actually a lot of extra wires, but you do have that little box there that you've got to tuck in. And once I get that into place, then I'll button everything down. It just takes a little bit of work to get all of the little connections put in the right order and clicked into place. And then you can see there, I've got that little plastic nut that holds this end to the back side of the footwell. And yeah, that's just hand tight, and then everything should click right into place. Now I've got to tuck these other wires up out of the way, which was pretty easy to do actually. And you can see I've actually got other red and yellow wires that goes to her stereo that I installed over Christmas time. But that's what it looks like underneath here. It's nice and tidy, and you can't tell that it's even there unless you crawl underneath the dashboard. So yeah, now we can press the start button and the camera will come on. It's time to do the setup. And so the first thing I want to do is just connect to Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi enabled.
You can get to Wi-Fi by holding that little Wi-Fi button on the right for a second, and then Wi-Fi will come on, and then it will present you with the password there in the bottom. So you can log on to that. Just know if you get into settings, which we will do here in a minute, and make any changes to either the name of your Wi-Fi or the password, it's going to kick you out, and then you're going to have to reconnect. So I would either save any of those changes for the very end or do it at the very start. Once you get connected, you can go in the VIOFO app and then access the camera. First thing I'm doing is adjusting the view, and then I'm going to go in and make a bunch of setting changes. And I'm not exactly sure how Many of these I'm going to leave the way they are. Some of them I'm just going to have to test and see, do I like what it does or not? You can see there I changed the password, which meant I had to get logged out, log back in, and boom, we're all good to go there, all set up. The last thing I want to do is install this button, the Bluetooth button, and the instructions make it pretty clear, but basically you need to put it into pairing mode by holding the button until it shows that it's in pairing mode, and then you press and hold the lock button on the camera, and then it will pair the two, and it will then work after that. So the way that works now is when you press the button, it will do this.
Video protected.
Okay, so here's a look at some of the footage. First thing I want to tell you about is the resolution I set this at. You'll notice isn't quite 16:9. So we'll just stretch this out and give you a more cinematic look. It doesn't really take anything away from the video, just cuts off a little bit of bottom of the dashboard and all of the display stuff, and then a little bit of the sky. So both of those for YouTube-ish, I don't really mind. As a matter of fact, I often cut that stuff off anyway. But this is that sensor. It handles contrast changes very well. Here is a look at parking mode. And you can see this actually did come out in 16:9 format, oddly enough. I'm not sure exactly what my settings are right now when I did this, but I just grabbed some video off of it for this to show you what it looks like. And then this is some night footage. The night footage out of this is really good for this StarViz 2 sensor. And as you can see, you could clearly get some license plates off of this. Now I sped this video up. I just thought it was a cool scene, just to give you a sense of what sort of a dusk time frame looks like. And again, you can see lots of details. So pretty happy with this. I think it's really neat. And then this has got to be the coolest video that my wife captured driving around, and that is the car wash. So I'm going to leave you with that. If you have any questions, let me know. I didn't do a lot of technical details about this or comparisons, but you know what? Vortex Radar already did a great job on this, so I'll put a link in my description for his video. Go check that out if you want to see some really in-depth, detailed review and analysis. But yeah, this was just an install video. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.